If you could boil down the theme of Tuesday's elections down to one word, it was affordability.
And for me, it was Israel, because I refused to endorse the candidate in my own city.
Right. The one who ran the most on affordability.
Yeah, exactly.
More than anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was affordability. But for me, because of Israel, I wasn't able to actually get behind the affordability candidate. But anyway, don't pay attention to that. Yeah.
Republicans absolutely whiffed on that by focusing on everything but affordability.
So did you, sir, okay, because your guy in New York City, your candidate, Zohran Mamdani, he centered affordability, and you refused to endorse him. How he is, like, I understand there's, Chuck Schumer's known as like a savvy behind-the-scenes operator, I don't know, in like the early 2000s and 1990s. Like, okay, sure, I'm sure he was. But 2025, I'm sorry, the guy is just, I think everyone agrees, no matter where you are in the spectrum, the Democratic Party, like that, he's not a good leader.
No.
I think people can agree on that now.
Yeah.
This is a guy who also said, who was like in the 2016 election, where, for every working class, for every blue collar voter we lose in Western Pennsylvania, we'll pick up 2 to 3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So how did that work out for you?
Right.
Come on. That alone should have been disqualifying for Chuck Schumer's leadership.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. After that, he was made the leader of the Democratic Party in the Senate, and here we are.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. And by the way, I mean, the fact that this victory on Tuesday night on the message of not just affordability, but fighting against Trump, right after that, this is when the Democrats cave.
In fact, Republicans have governed all year like drunken sailors.
But listen, I'm actually not sure if this is such a horrible thing. Like, you're dealing with Republicans who are sociopaths, who are so hostile to working people, to vulnerable people, that literally on Friday, they went to court and to like challenge a court ruling that they pay SNAP benefits, food assistance benefits. And they did all they could to like not even pay those benefits out, even though they have the funds to do it. So when you're dealing with sociopaths who are like holding one group of vulnerable people hostage because they refuse to cave, like, I don't know, what are you supposed to do with these people, especially if they don't care about working people, so they don't care about healthcare premiums going up. And so I'm not sure if there was a path actually to this succeeding, So we'll explore this, but I don't know what you're supposed to do with people who are just sociopaths.
Right. Well, you know what? For me, it's a shorthand for this is the wrong thing to do. One of the 8 Democrats who broke the line and sided with the Republicans, guess who one of those Democrats includes?
Well, I know who you're thinking of. It's John Fetterman. So you're reflexively against anything that John Fetterman does. Well, I understand that position. Fair enough. Call it the Fetterman flex.
I'm not ashamed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people get mad at me. They think I'm a total Bernie bro, Bernie defender. But, and they get mad. They think he's caved and he's been bad on the genocide. And we've definitely talked about that. But he's also against it. And he's definitely, someone who is better on this stuff than Fetterman. So Fetterman is for it. Bernie's against it. Most of the other people who are for it are pretty centrist. And yeah. So I think I'm confident, even though it's like, you said it's not your lane. I'm confident it was the wrong thing to do. And again, when you have consensus among people like Bernie Sanders and Neera Tanden, to me, that's a good sign that it's a mistake.
Well, again, I go back to the fact that Republicans, they're so stubborn and they don't care about working people, so that they were willing to let healthcare subsidies increase, and they also were willing to starve and deny food to people on food assistance. In that situation, I just don't know what you're supposed to do. I do think the point was made that it's Republicans that are blocking healthcare subsidies and that they don't care about vulnerable people. And I just don't know in that situation what you're supposed to do, because ultimately, like, you're pitting one group of, and this is the Republicans are doing, you're pitting one group of vulnerable people against another. So you're pitting 42 million people who need food assistance versus about 20 million people who need healthcare like subsidies. So in that situation, like, who's to say that it's okay to continue this? And like, if I met someone who's on SNAP, and am I going to make the case to them, sorry, you have to keep going hungry because we have to win this fight over healthcare? Like, it's tough. And this is a situation that you're in when you're ruled by sociopaths, literal sociopaths.
Right. Yeah.
Challenging.
You know, there's another aspect that we can get into at another point, but it is Sean McCarthy tweeted out, Democrats caved because they didn't want Trump to nuke the filibuster because then they'd have to actually do something next time they take power. Maybe the most useless political party in all of recorded history. That's a whole other issue, the role of the filibuster, which is true.
All right. Well,
and it was also another thing. They did it right after the elections. That's no coincidence. So this to me actually proves that it wasn't for the sake of the people, because if that were true, they would have not waited until after the election. They wait until after the election because they knew this wasn't going to be popular.
We are the ones that have done a great job on affordability, not the Democrats. And yet we just lost a couple of elections.
That's right. Trump there is complaining that he's not getting enough credit for all he's done on affordability, to the point where, and check this out, this is a clip from last week. He literally called the issue of affordability a con job. This is Trump.
So that would mean that the whole series of pricing and costs, the groceries and everything else, it was a con job. It was a con job. Affordability, they call it, was a con job by the Democrats. The Democrats are good at a few things: cheating on elections and conning people with facts that aren't true.
Facts that aren't true. Well, first of all, if it is a fact, that means it is a fact. It means it's true.
Right,
Anyway,
yeah, exactly. Right.
But the point is, look, Trump ran and was successful by pointing to inflation and the high cost of what he considers to be the exotic word of groceries. Right. That was effective for him.
Fancy word. What did you say? An old word, a great word? Old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. Yeah.
It's so old-fashioned groceries. He loves to marvel at that.
Beautiful and old-fashioned, yeah.
So that wasn't a con job when he did it, by his definition. But when Democrats now talk about the continued high cost of groceries, that's a con job.
Right. Yeah.
And the problem with that is, like, people have made this point, like, you can invent stories about like undocumented immigrants, eating the cats, eating the dogs. You can fearmonger about migrants and, gangs and all that stuff. But you can't tell people that like affordability is a con job when the prices at the grocery store are higher or the same as they were under Biden. You just can't do that.
And according to even government data, like as in the government of Donald Trump, consumer prices are up 3% in the last year.
And what was the main knock on Democrats during Biden's inflation years? It was that they weren't like acknowledging people's pain, and they were saying, oh, like things are fine. Well, guess what? This is exactly what the Trump administration is doing too.